Hail Dicelings and ready your ink quills because today we are pinning a character. In the last video I did for Legend of the Five Rings, I actually talked about my feelings about the new edition and generated a character at the same time. It's a long video, so instead I'm going to break down the character creation in a few different videos based upon the parts of the character build, so that if anybody is new to the channel and learning how to make a character for Fantasy Flight's newest version of Legend of the Five Rings, these videos should be more to the point and kind of what you're looking for. So let's kind of jump right in. So first off, what you should do is download the 20 questions worksheet. While you can do a character without actually filling out the worksheet is really handy for your GM to get an idea of the character you're building, and it helps you kind of put together the thoughts. That's available on Fantasy Flight's website, and I do want to show you a couple of the other assets that we will be touching upon as we do character creation as a whole. So first off, I have a character sheet by Dojo Creative. The guy who runs this site is super stellar. He puts out really good different downloadable content for Legend of the Five Rings and a few different other games, and he's doing a few things to help kind of build up the community. I selected a crab sheet because today we're going to start super simple, and we're going to build probably the most basic kind of entry-level character, which is going to be a crab Bushi. When you make a character in Legend of the Five Rings, there's a couple different types of characters you can make. Think of this kind of similar to classes in other games. There's Bushi, which are kind of your warrior types. No real magic involved with those schools. Then there's Shugenja, which is kind of our mage-priest kind of combo as far as how the lore looks at them. There is also artisans, which are they would kind of fill the void of bards in your traditional D&D type game. They're creative types, they make stuff, and they interact socially, and they're kind of the face of the party in a lot of ways. But then there's a second type called courtiers. Courtiers are more or less your bigger social manipulators. These are the characters who are specifically designed to go into intrigues and have discussions, sign treaties, arrange marriages, and that sort of thing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're slouches either. Most of the schools that are out there have a particular focus, but they don't prevent them from learning other things, as we'll discuss once we finish character and we talk about character advancement. But for now, we're going to focus on those. And then another type that you can play is a monk. A monk is a little bit more of your traditional Eastern Asian type influence of what a monk is. D&D does their monk actually kind of based on what Legend of the Five Rings put out in the original Oriental Adventures, which was Kotor, something like that, and Forgotten Realms. I don't play Forgotten Realms, so I'm probably butchering the hell out of that name. But it's kind of this idea that the monks are more mysticism than they are like priests who work in a temple. And then lastly, there is shinobi, which shinobi are unique. I'm going to save what they actually are for when I do a video about how to build a shinobi, where I'll go a little bit more in detail about what they are and what they are not, and what they mean in society, because they are a complicated topic. So to build a character, you would start on the core identity of who your character is. That's selecting your clan and family. It goes into detail on page 41 here, but it also tells you your starting values. Your rings start at 1 each, your skills start at 0. Both of those have a cap of 3 during character creation. That's important to keep in mind because if we ever hit 3 during our character creation, we then have the choice to choose something different. Our honor, glory, and status are going to be determined by the first 3 questions. In this video, I'm going to address the first 2 questions. And then our endurance is going to be a combination of earth and fire. Our composure is going to be a combination of earth and water. And then those are both be multiplied by 2. Our focus is calculated by air and fire. And our vigilance is calculated by air and water. As you can tell, that is a few different things that basically show that all the stats are super important in this game. So it is worthwhile to balance your character out rather than focusing on one particular stat. However, because I'm building a Bushi, I probably will focus to be a little bit more earth heavy, since earth is going to affect my endurance, which is kind of like hit points in this game, and then my composure, which is kind of like social hit points inside this game. With that in mind, The first section here kind of talks about each of the clans. There is something to note here. The clans themselves, they have different values that they value above other values within Bushido, and then they have one tenet that they kind of look down upon. Each clan is different and has their own rules to it, but for the crab themselves, courage is what's most important, and courtesy is on their low scale. We can see right here what our ring advancement is and our skill advancement from choosing the crab clan. I'm going to transfer those over to my 20 questions inside question 1. So crab, +1 earth, +1 fitness, and my status is 30, which again I got from that page. I also get a little blurb about what crab clan culture is. This is a really good place to kind of figure out if this clan is good for you. Simply because I'm building a Bushi and it's going to be a very straightforward character, I chose the crab simply because they are the most approachable for a new player to L5R. The crab gets certain indulgences because they are warriors who protect the realm. They live on a battlefront, so sometimes they get some social passes on things that would be considered as faux pas or not appropriate for other samurai because they're just the crab. That's the way they are. They're rough around the edges. So for new players, crabs are an excellent choice if you want to just kind of dive into the world and feel things out, but you want to do it cautiously. That's not to say that any clan wouldn't be perfect for a new player. Honestly, every clan is great, but the crab are just a little bit more approachable, especially for someone who's not quite familiar with like the social expectations that an Asian influenced game would have. There's also a section up here that says what your character knows. In a lot of games, we kind of make assumptions and we say, hey, my character's a knight, so he knows these things. This is actually written out, and it says what your character knows based upon where he grew up, or what clan he grew up with. And you get some cool things that are special to you. So, for example, the crab are the only ones that get identify Shadowlands creatures such as goblins, ogres, zombies, and you know how to dispatch them. That's a really neat thing. And then the next one kind of talks about more of like a ribbon ability would be in D&D. It's more of a story thing. You grew up hearing stories, songs of heroes that face greater evils such as Oni, but you've likely not encountered such personal horrors. So this is all stuff to help build who your character is. So each one of the clans is represented inside the book. Definitely take a look and figure out which one is going to be the best for you. But again, because of the example that I'm doing, we're just going to pick the crab clan, and then the next bit is to select our family, which, oops, I clicked on the wrong one. Our family, which is where question 2 comes in, and that starts on page 49. The part about the family, basically what you're going to do is find the clan that you come from and then select a family that matches. This is kind of where the mixing and matching of families could happen because of story, but most likely won't happen. Different stages you could select different things, like it's entirely possible for your character to be born from the crab, be a crab family, and then go to a crane school. It would just require a little bit of thinking about how that works inside the story. This character, again, we're going to keep it super simple. We're going to be a crab from a crab family going to a crab school. That way everything makes sense. It's very easy and streamlined to follow. The family that I'm going to pick is the Hida family. They're the people that are in charge of the crab. They're also the main warrior family within it, so it really fits the idea of who this character is going to be. I get a choice here. It says +1 earth or fire. Now, I'm not going to pick at this moment because I want to see what my Hida Defender School will actually give me as far as abilities. I've already looked ahead. I know what I'm going to pick, but we'll save that for the video where I talk about the school, which will be the next video here. So I'm just going to notate that. I also get +1 command, +1 tactics, and my glory is a 44 to start with 4 Koku. I can get a little blurb about who this family is and what each of the families inside my clan are by taking a look at this page. So then I transfer that over to my 20 questions, +1 earth or +1 fire, +1 command, +1 tactics. I recommend that everybody who's making a character, when you have this ring choice, just write both of them down to start off, and then go to question 3 and look at the techniques that your school provides, because that will give you a guide on what kind of things that you can expect that your character will unlock through natural progression, and what rings might be more important to you. I know the Hida Defender is a defender, so earth is really important for his hit points, but remember that fire also controls things like your initiative and that could actually be super helpful for this type of character as well. Fire also is really good when you fight. If you want to do more damage, the fire stance gives you an ability that basically lets you turn any strife that you gain into successes when you succeed as bonuses, which means more damage in the long run. So both of those are equally important for different reasons. What I would recommend for anybody who's at this stage is, if you have not already stopped, go back, look at what the rings do, and then find the page that talks about what the stances actually do. That way you can find out which ring is probably going to be important, because while Earth may make the most sense for the techniques that we're looking at, Fire may be a better choice in the long run, because then we can make a more aggressive character. Kind of depends on what you're playing, how you feel, and what of course makes sense inside your story. But that said, that's all we're going to talk about inside this video. These videos are going to try to be straight and to, oops, wrong screen, straight and to the point, where we talk about like how we're going to build up this character and kind of get it settled. With that said, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.